Wix Workshop Part 2, Advanced Features with Wix. Thanks so much to Stacey Lipschitz for presenting today. Stacey is an Academic Partnerships Manager with Wix. I will now turn the mic over to Stacey.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining. Welcome back if you were here last week when we did a Wix basics presentation. So today I'm going to dive into some more advanced features, but I'll do a little recap in case you missed the last webinar. So let me just get my presentation up and going and then we will get started. Let's see. Okay. All right, here we go. So I'll start with just a little background on Wix in case anyone happened to miss it last time, just a little refresher. So about us, Wix is a huge company. We're actually headquartered in Tel Aviv, but we have offices all over the world, 3 of which are in the United States, in Miami, San Francisco, and then in New York, where I'm based. And we're growing a lot. We're shipping new features every week, so you can always expect there to be something new. If there's something that we don't have yet, you can expect it to be coming, and we're always, improving what we do have. So something to keep in mind when you're getting started working with us. At the core of Wix is a drag and drop website building editor. So it makes it really easy to create a website. What you see is what you get. So you can drag different elements around the screen like text and images and create a website really quickly, really easily without needing to know how to code or anything advanced. And if you do know how to code, you can incorporate that too with some advanced features. But really, Wix is appropriate for people of all technical skill levels. So there are features in there for everyone. We also have over 500 templates to choose from, so you don't need to be creative, you don't need to be a designer in order to make a really nice professional looking website. We have a big studio of amazingly talented designers who are creating these templates for you based on the latest web trends and things like that. And if you choose the template and there's anything that you don't like about it, absolutely anything is editable. You can add any features to any template. Or remove them, so it's pretty easy to customize it to whatever you really need. And then talking about features. So there are tons of them on Wix. Today I'm going to deep dive into just a few, but ones that you should probably know about are the Wix blog. It's a good way to keep your website up to date with new content. Stores, in case you wanted to sell something. Video, you can post videos directly to your website or pull them in from YouTube and other sources like that. Music, if you wanted to stream music from your website or even sell it, you could do that, as well as podcasts or any audio files that you might have. We also have products for restaurants and hotels and things like that, a little less relevant for you. Also, Wix bookings, where you can have people book appointments directly, can be really great for booking maybe a meeting room, or for if you have a class that meets, or any one-on-one sessions that you might want to schedule. Photography, ways of just either uploading your own photos and some really nice looking galleries. Wix also has a huge free stock image collection, and so on and so forth. And today I'll be talking a little bit about Wix Promote, which is our email newsletter platform, as well as search engine optimization, and then Wix Events, which is a good way of listing events that you're hosting on your site and getting people to sign up for those in advance. We also have a bunch of visual features. So in addition to a lot of functionality that you can add to your site, that's all included with the free plan of Wix, you can also know that your site will look modern with all of these really beautifully designed elements like slideshows and pop-ups. I'll be showing you those today. And even image filters and things like that. So you don't even have to go into an image editing product like Photoshop and learn a whole other software if you just wanted to, say, make a photo black and white. So there's a lot of different features within the Wix editor, so you can really make the site look stunning without needing to be a graphic designer yourself. All right, so today I'm going to cover, I don't know why this is a little cut off, but I'm going to go over some Wix basics in the editor, choosing a template, things like that. Then we'll talk about Wix events, and there are several different event apps that you can choose to use, or you can use the official Wix event app, and I'll talk about that. I'll mention blogging, so just how you can add a blog to your site and edit blog posts. You can even have other people on your team go in to add blog posts. Lightboxes, which are pop-ups, I'll show you how to do that. Email newsletters, so adding a subscription form to your site, and then how to manage your contacts and send out really great looking newsletters or automatic emails when someone signs up or contacts you. I'll talk a little bit about editing your site on mobile, so making sure when people are looking up your website from their cell phones, they find your site and it looks great, everything fits on the screen, and is well optimized. I'll talk about your site dashboard, so how you can manage your site without having to go back into the editor. So some shortcuts for keeping your events and things like that up to date and managing your email and newsletters without going into the editor space. And then search engine optimization, getting found on Google. What are the steps you can take, how Wix helps you do that, and how you can connect to Google directly through the Wix dashboard. So if you have any questions about any of that as I'm going through, or questions about anything else, I'm happy to jump in and tackle those questions, even if they're not on this agenda. So it's pretty flexible, just let me know. And the key takeaways that I want you to get out of today are, first, that Wix has all of the flexibility you need to fit your needs. So there are a lot of ways to accomplish one goal, depending on different factors, like how much control you want versus how easy you want something to be. So while you might not know every single detail of how to do every single thing on Wix right now after today, you will have a sense for some of the different options that you can go into and why you might pick different options. Also, I want you to understand that you have all the tools you need to manage your site in one place. So all of your online presence can be managed in Wix, emails and contacts and all of that. It's really easy to keep track of everything, and I'll show you how to do that. And then lastly, there's options for every level of effort. So if you just want to spend a couple of hours getting a quick site up and going, just edit some text and photos, if you're making a library site, like the address and hours of the library, that's enough, and you can do that really simply. And then depending on how much effort you want to put in, how much time you have to spare, you can really get very particular with the details, and incorporate some really advanced, powerful things too. So there's something for every level here. All right, and so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead into the Wix editor and we'll get started. And again, any questions, feel free to put them in that box, that little chat box in the webinar. All right, so here we go. This is your site dashboard. If you go to Wix.com and you log in and you already have a site, this is the page that you're going to see. And I'll walk you through this later on. But first I want to show you, just to kind of recap, we mentioned this in the last webinar, how you can start making a new website. And so something to keep in mind with Wix is you can have as many free websites as you want, or as many published websites in one account. And the way that you would navigate between them is just clicking over here. You can scroll through. You can see I have a ton from different demos that I've done. You can, search them and things like that. Then you can just click Create a New Site. You can also click the little plus sign over here to add a new site to your account. So this is also the screen that you're going to see if you're making a new, if you have a new account and you're making a site for the first time. So when you log in, you'll start with this screen because you won't have a dashboard for a previous site that you've created. So you can choose a category here. It doesn't really matter what you choose at this stage because we can change it later. So I'm just going to go with Other. Then you have two different options here. So I mentioned different options for different levels and different amounts of time. So Wix ADI is Automated Design Intelligence, and it's really great for making super quick, simple business websites. It'll ask you some questions. It can pull in information about your business that's already public on social media. And so I recommend it for people who just want a really simple site made very quickly. But there aren't a ton of options in there. There's not a lot of flexibility. And so I really recommend starting with the Wix Editor if you have particular needs. And that's what we're going to be doing today. And that's where you can choose a template to get started. So you can browse through all these different templates. Like I mentioned before, you can change absolutely anything about any template. So I recommend taking a look. You definitely want to look online at inspiration from other library websites, and that'll give you a really good sense of what kinds of layouts you're looking for, what kinds of features, and so you can really start on the right foot. And I also mentioned in the previous webinar about planning your site before you start picking a template and getting in there. So doing a little pre-work, listing out the pages that you're going to have on the site, the features that you think that you want, that can really help when you're picking a template. And then, of course, you can choose a blank template if you want, just start from scratch, and you can add all of the design elements and features one by one. So today I wanted to highlight one template that I think is really great for libraries in particular. So in the community and education templates, there's a lot of really good ones that could work, but I think this elementary school one is a good place to start. So you can view it to get a feel for what it looks like and what the different pages are. I'm just going to scroll down so you can see there's some blog posts on the page, a downloadable PDF, a newsletter, a subscription box here, some event listings, and then this nice full width slider of images. And then, of course, lots of pages, a logo. So I'm going to start with this site. I'm going to edit it to be for Wix Library. And so you can see as I go along some of the basic elements of Wix in case you need a refresher or you weren't here for the last webinar. And then I'll also dive into some of those features that I mentioned before. So I'm going to click to edit the site. It'll take a couple seconds while the editor loads up all that content. And then here you see the template. And so everything above this dashed line, this is the header section. Then you have your main area here. And then all the way at the bottom below this dashed line is your footer. And this is a really well-designed footer for any place with a physical address. You can put that in here. Contact information. It could also be good to add your hours in here. You want to make sure to update the social media links with your own. And yeah, so up at the top, I'm just going to start by double-clicking on this group. And so you can see it's a group because when you click on it, it says to ungroup the elements. So I'm going to click that. And you can group elements by selecting more than one. And when you have more than one selected, you'll get an option to group them. And it can keep things, easy on your site to, drag them around as one unit instead of individual. So now I'm going to double click on where it says Springfield School. And I'm going to change that so that it says Wix Library. And it's really easy to change text. Just double click on it anywhere on the site and you can type in your new text. And then you can go in and change the fonts and the size and things like that, however you'd like. Just make sure that text is selected there. So you can see we have a wide variety of fonts to choose from. I'm going to go with this one and make it bold, maybe a little bit bigger. I think I'll change the font to something a little easier to read. There we go. And so just a reminder that you can drag anything you want anywhere you want on the page. So I'm going to keep this text up here for a header. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this icon, and I'm going to go to the Add menu. So this Add menu on the left side of the screen, this is where you add all of the elements to your page. So templates will already have a lot of things on the page that you can move around and edit, but if you're starting with a blank template or you want to add something to an existing template, this is where you go, this little plus icon. So you can add text, images, galleries, all of these different things. We'll talk more about as we're editing the site. But I'm going to go into vector art. And this is a great category for adding icons and logos and things like this that rescale, and you can even recolor them really easily. So I'm going to go in here into all vector art. And this is the free library that you can choose from Wix. There's also basic shapes, which is good if you need any menu icons. There's also a bunch of arrows in here, which can be useful to use when you're designing your site. But I'm going to go into the vector art, and I'm going to search for a book, because this is a library website that I'm making. I'm going to go with this icon. I'm just going to select it and click Add to Page. And now I can resize it however I want. And I'm just going to drag it over here into this box that came with the template. So I like the way that looks. I'm going to go into the design, maybe change the color. So every template comes with a bunch of site colors already, and if you stick with those, you know you'll keep the design consistent. You can also change these. You can choose from a bunch of pre-designed color themes to get a new look really quickly. You can also manually change colors in a theme to make your own. And if you already have a brand for your library, this is an advanced feature, but it's really powerful, and it makes it easy to really customize your site from the get-go and make it fit your brand. So I'm just going to X out of here and click on the color again. And I'm just going to add a new color manually to the My Color section here. Click on the plus sign. And let's go with this kind of purple color. All right, so I'll add that, and it'll be here so that I can use it again for other elements if I want to on the page. All right, so we've got our new logo up here. The next thing I want to do is edit the menu and pages. So if you click on this, you'll notice you can't actually get to a different page to edit it from clicking on the menu bar. What you can do is change the look of the menu bar, like by rescaling it. There are different layout options you can choose from, design options here. There's a bunch of pre-designed themes that you can choose from, or you can go into customized design and really make it your own with colors and text options and things like that. So it's up to you how much you want to customize it. So I'm just going to leave that for now. But I want to, take a look at what some of these pages are and change what they are. And so where you go to do that is up here in the Menus and Pages section. And so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the School Menus page because it's not relevant to library. So you can just click on these three dots here and delete them. And click Delete. I'm also going to change our school to say our library. And then I'm going to change academics to say get a library card. And you'll notice how easy it is to change the name of a page. And then you can nest a page under another page so that in the menu bar, there'll be a drop down. So to do that, I'm just going to drag this menu option over a little bit until you get this little connector here. And now, if I preview the site, there will be a drop down under our library for this page, Get a Library Card. So I'm going to go back home. And now I'm going to preview the site so you can see what that looks like. So over here under our library, now there's a nice drop down for Get a Library Card to navigate to that page. So I'm going to go back to the editor. So that pretty much wraps up the basics, the add menu for adding everything you could need, menus and pages for rearranging the order of your pages, deleting them or adding new ones, which you do right over here. You could also add links, like if you're linking to an external website, like a library catalog or something like that. So that's the basics. I'm going to go back to the home page, and now we're going to deep dive into some of those special features that I mentioned. So on this template, we already have an events app applied. And so you can see here there are some event widgets that are already on the page. And so if you're working with a template that already has this, it makes it really easy because you can just go in and click Manage Event, and then you can add your own events to it, and this content will change to your actual event information. So that's really simple to do in a pre-existing template. What I'm going to do instead is I'm actually going to add a new page for events. And I'm going to change this one over here to just say news. And that's where the blog is going to go. And if you look at this page, you can see there's already these blog posts on it. And then down at the bottom is events. So I'm going to delete this. And then on the new page that we created for events, I'm just going to click Add Page here. So now I'm going to add Wix events to this page. And this is how you do it if you're starting with a blank template or another template that doesn't have events already on it. So there's a lot of different ways that you can add events to your site. If you go into the App Market, which is over here, so the Add menu has all the design elements and a lot of features that you'd want to add to your site. The App Market has both Wix and third-party apps that can really enhance the functionality of your site. So in here, you can kind of browse through all these different categories of things. I'm going to go into the Events category. So you can see here, we already have the Wix Events app installed. It came pre-installed with this template. You can also sell tickets. It's an extension for the Wix event app. There's an event calendar. There's a social media stream, which isn't totally connected to events, but you can see there's a lot of different things that you can add to your site that are related. You can even, if you have an Eventbrite account with events for people to register, you can also integrate with that using a third-party app here. Wix bookings, that's what I mentioned. If you're having classes or one-on-one sessions or a book club or something like that, this is a way to coordinate with your personal calendar and have people book appointments or even recurring group classes and things like that. And yeah, so there's a ton of different options. So what I was saying before, there are different options. The possibilities are infinite for however you work best. You can kind of choose the way that you want to integrate events into your site. If you just want an event calendar that's linked with maybe a Google Calendar of events that are hosted on site, this is one way to do it. But I'm going to go ahead with the Wix Events calendar, and I'm going to click Add Again so we can add it to this new page here. And so it's added to the site. It's loading here. So now you get this really nice designed widget. And since this template already came with some fake events for an elementary school, we've already got a nice image in here, and it's already styled in a certain way. But once you go into settings here, you can change the layout. You have to go and create your first events first in order to do that. So in order to demonstrate that, I'll go in and create an event so you can get an idea of what that looks like, and then we'll play with the layout. So I'm going to give it an event name. Let's call it Reading Group. Orientation. I'm going to add an image to this. So when you're adding an image anywhere on Wix, you can upload your own images. We have this Wix Stunners. It's a Wix fake football team that we have. This is one of the images that I've already uploaded. So it'll be collected in your media manager. You can also upload new images and they'll be here so you can reuse them throughout your site if you need to. You can also choose images from social media. So if you have a Facebook event, also you could pull from there if it's linked to your Facebook account, Instagram, Google Drive, or Dropbox. So wherever you need to pull an image from, there's a lot of options here too. I recommend uploading your own or using one of the free images from Wix. So I'm going to go to the All category here. I'm just going to search for library. So as you can see, there's a lot of different options here to choose from. For this event, I'm going to go with this one, just man in library, and let's click apply. So you can choose a date and time for your event. I'll just keep this with the defaults for now, but I'll add an end time of, let's say, 9 p.m. Where's the location? I'm just going to put in a fake address, let's say 1234 Fifth Avenue. So you'll get a nice little map too of where that location is. And then you can add some more details about your event if you want. I'll leave this blank for now. You can also, if you wanted, let's click create event first to make sure that saves. And then if you go in to edit your event, you have a bunch of different options. You could sell tickets for your event if you wanted to, or even free tickets if there's limited room for an event. You can manage registration, whether it's public on your site or not, how many guests can attend. You can customize the registration form that people would see, a thank you message, all of that stuff. And here I'll talk more about general email marketing later, but when you're using the Wix Events app, you can also set a bunch of automatic emails. So the ones that are by default are for confirmation when someone registers, a reminder that the event's coming up soon, and an alert if the event is canceled. So these are really powerful. It makes it really easy so you don't have to manually email anyone about your event or updates on your event either. So the next thing that I want to show you is your guest list, and this is where you could manage people who have RSVP'd so you can get a feel for how many people might be attending your event. So now that we've gone through what all these settings are, I'm going to go back to events, just the general event dashboard here, and I'm going to click here to duplicate the event. And this is really helpful, just clicking on those three dots to really quickly, make a recurring event. If you've put in all the details and the information, you don't want to retype it again, you can just change the title. This one I'm going to call it Meet the Author, and I'll change the picture too, so I'll show you how to do that. So I'm just going to choose this random picture of a person here. All right, so this is saved. And now I'm going to X out of here. And you can see that the Wix event app here, it'll show a certain event that's still from the template, but you want to change it to show the events that you've just created. So you can go into My Events here, and you can choose whether you want to show multiple events or a single event, and you can choose which ones you want to show. So I'm going to show, so you can choose like Meet the Author or the Reading Group, whichever one you want, because this is a single event view. Alternatively, if you want to show multiple events, you can click here, and then you can choose which events that you want to show. So I'm just going to click on some of these filler ones with the template and just click hide. And this way we won't have to see those on the page. You could, of course, delete these when you're in your event manager as well. So now we see the two events that are upcoming. And you have a few different layout options too. So you can display them as a list, side by side. Here's the list option, which is really minimal and nice. Or you can stick with the grid. And if you have a lot of events, you can really get into the details of how you want each one to be displayed. You can also choose what information you want to show here. So there's a lot of different, on-off toggles to get really into the details. You can choose what this header title is going to say on the page. And you can choose what the button will say to get people to sign up for an event as well. And then design. So like everything in Wix, you can always change the text and the button design and get really into those details to make sure it fits the aesthetic that you want to go for. So the last thing that's really important to know about using Wix Events is that it'll create some new pages for you. So we saw that a little bit in the Manage Event section about what the user RSVP form looks like and stuff like that. But you'll want to click on pages in here and go to each of those pages so that you can see what they look like. So this is what one single event page will look like. And it's optional if you want to have a page that shows more details about the event or not. Otherwise, it can go just straight to the registration form where they put in their information. I'm going to click on, oops, that's not what I meant to do. I'm going to click on settings again and go back to pages. So you can turn this page that I'm showing you on or off if you want. And I'm going to go to the registration form page also so you can see what that looks like. So when somebody clicks that Register Now button, they'll put in their first name, their last name, their email, and click Submit. And that's where in the Manage Event section, you would want to, edit the form fields there and make sure that that's looking good. So if you have any questions about events, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to show you how to add an event to your homepage, and then I'll move on to some of the other features. So let's just go back to the homepage. So you can see this template already has some event widgets here. And if you go into settings, you can choose which of your events you want to be highlighted on this page. So I'm going to choose Meet the Author. And then you can go into the settings and change the layouts and things like that to however you want them to look. And, if you want to display it's hard to read here because the text is black, which you could change, but it says 14 days to this event. You can add a countdown, which is cool. I'm just going to turn back on the show image. So there's a lot of flexibility to how you can display your events throughout your website. And then if you wanted to add more events widgets, you can just go to your Add menu, go down to Contact. And if you scroll down, there's all different kinds of event widget layouts, and you can put these anywhere on your site. And so the ones that are here are these classic single event views, and you can see how different you can make the layout look by just hiding an image and really playing with the layout and things like that to make it look different from the defaults. So that's everything about Wix Events. Again, let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to some other things that you can do. So while we're looking at this site, the next thing I want to talk to you about is the subscription form over here. And so over here you see that there's the simple Subscribe Now box. And if you go into the settings, you can edit all of that to kind of make it look the way that you want. If you don't already have a subscription box on your page, you would also get that from the Contact section of the Add menu. And you can go to Get Subscribers and just drag it onto the page. And you can see that the defaults look pretty different. It's still loading. There we go. And so it's just, in a random spot for now, but you can see it looks pretty different. But with this template, it's already been styled to fit the theme of your site. And you can go into the settings to get it to look like this as well. But to save us time, I'm just going to delete this, and I'll just show you what the settings are from the one that's already on the template. So the first thing you're going to want to do is click on Manage Form. So make sure that if you want to get notifications when you have new subscribers, you can turn that off if you want, but you want to make sure the email address there is the correct one that you want. You can choose what information you want to collect. So right now it's just an email address, but you can also collect names and phone numbers if you wanted to. And you can also choose if the name is required or not. Notice that you can also change the text it says here. Instead of email address, if you wanted it to say something like this, you can really customize all of that. All right. You can also change the button text and the title, whether you want that to show or not. So I'm going to turn that off. You can change the layouts and the design. Like I mentioned, you can really get into all these details to make it look the way that you want. And then you can also quickly go in and create a pop-up box called a Lightbox. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But this is one place where you could access that. And also how you can actually trigger some emails either to welcome your new subscribers. It's one of the automated email features, or just design your newsletters in general. But we're going to do those from the dashboard later on. But just know you could access that from within the editor here if you wanted to. All right, so that's everything about the basics for a contact form. Now I'm going to show you how to add a lightbox. So you saw from settings you could do that there, but you can also go into the add menu and click down here to lightbox. And these are, like I mentioned, just pop-ups that would show up on your site, and they can either show up timed after a few seconds, or you can set how long you want it to be that a visitor is on your site before they'd appear, or you can have someone click a button and then the pop-up window would appear. And these are really great. Let's say that the library is closed for a holiday. This would be a good way of having an alert pop up. If you wanted to highlight a special event, you could do that in a Lightbox. I'm going to add a mailing list option, and you can see that there's a few different layouts here. I'm going to go with this one, the subscribe box, black and white. And so now you're in the Lightbox editor. And so there's a lot of different features here to customize it. It works just like anywhere else on the Wix site where you can drag and drop everything. You can delete anything that you want. This subscribe box works the same way as the one on the home page. All the settings are exactly the same here. And you can change the design. You can also, if you click on this kind of gray area, this is an overlay so that your pop-up will really stand out visually over the background of the site. And so you can set up the overlay how you want that to work and change the overlay background to whatever you want. If you wanted it to be a pattern, maybe it's a little too crazy, you can do that as well. I'm just going to leave it on this dark gray. And I'm going to go into the settings and change the opacity a little bit so that you can still kind of see that there's a home page behind it. All right, so that's everything about the overlay. And getting back into the Lightbox settings here. So under Manage Lightbox, you'll notice that that'll open up your Pages menu. And here's your site menu as before, but you'll have this new category for Lightboxes. And this is where you would access them. And they're very similar to Pages, except they're in this new category. And this is where, if you wanted to edit it later on, you would be able to do that from your Pages menu. Then you'll want to set triggers. So right now, the page is automatically going to be displayed on all of your pages. Right now, it's set to be displayed on your home page. You can check off if you want it to be displayed on all of your pages or just specific ones. You can choose how long after a visitor gets to your site they want it to appear. You can also add a link to your Lightbox. So if someone clicks a button, it'll make it pop up. And then you want to make sure that there are ways to close your Lightbox. So there's an X icon here. You could also add a close button. So that's very important because it can be very frustrating. I'm sure you've experienced this visiting a website. Something pops up and you can't get out of it. So I'm going to go back to the home page, and I'll just preview for you what this is going to look like. All right, so let's just go to preview. And so when we're on this page for a couple seconds, you can see the pop-up appears. This is the subscribe box. You'd enter in your email address, Stacey@wix.com, submit, and then you can X out of here. And so I'll go back to the editor. So pretty simple. You can get some really advanced, beautiful effects by just adding some of these pre-made design templates. And so I think that that's everything I wanted to show you in terms of apps on your site. I also wanted to mention mobile editing is really important. You can do that over here. Just click on mobile, click to edit the mobile view. And you want to make sure that you do this before you publish your site. And Wix gives you a really great tutorial on all about how you can optimize your site for mobile on people's cell phones. I'm just going to skip it for now. And so everything is looking pretty good, but I want to move the menu up a little bit and maybe move this up a little bit so that there's not so much white space. And just drag this around. So any changes you make here are not going to affect the desktop version of your site. So if you wanted to, make this smaller, all of this is just going to be for your home page. And you can also show and hide different elements by just clicking on this eyeball over here, and it'll be listed in this hidden area, and you can easily add it back. So I'm just going to go back to the desktop version of the site. So that just gives you a really quick look at the mobile editor. And I recommend going through that tutorial on how to do that. And so the last thing I wanted to mention really quickly is that there's a blog on the page. If you don't have a blog on your template, you can add it with the App Market. Just search for the Wix blog. You can add what's called custom feeds to your site, which can show specific types of posts and specific categories. You can manage your posts really easily. So choosing, an author name, creating a new post. It's pretty simple to do. Let's just do a really quick one. Let's just say, hello world. This is a post. And then publish it. And notice you could add images, galleries, and videos to that if you wanted to. And so now that'll show up in your post list. And if we X out of here, that'll show up at the top of your blog feed over here. So I think that's everything. Sorry, that was really fast, but I want to make sure I have some time to show you about your site dashboard. So make sure your site is saved, and then you can go over to Site and just click on My Dashboard. And so this is where you're going to manage everything on your site. And so you'll notice that for different different apps that you've added, it'll try to give you some helpful tips to make sure that they're ready to go when you publish. So connecting a payment method, it has just like a quick events checklist. You don't have to connect a payment method if you're not selling tickets online, so you can ignore that if you want. You'll also notice in here you can manage your blog right from the dashboard, add new posts. You can have drafts in here too. And you don't have to go into the editor. Once your blog layout is all set up, you can do all of that from right over here. For events, it's really simple to add new events, and they'll automatically populate on the event listings on your website. And if you have those single events listed, you'll want to go check and make sure that any new events will replace older events in those listings. But if you have just a list that's populating all of your events, they'll automatically be added. Again, without having to go into the editor at all. To do that, just from your site dashboard, you can add new events. And the next thing I want to show you is the contacts. So when you make that newsletter subscription form, whether it's on your page or it's the pop-up that I showed you how to do, you'll get all of your contacts in here. So here's just a notification that Wix sends you in your Wix inbox for each site that someone subscribed to your mailing list. You'll also get a notification up here that says someone subscribed in your Wix account. If you have a contact form on your site, anyone who has submitted a message to contact you, that'll show up here. You can also add live chat to your site from the Wix App Market, and you can manage those chat messages in this section as well. Your contact list, so all of your newsletter subscribers and people who have contacted you through a contact form or the live chat, they'll all appear here. And you can filter them. You can add labels. You can see you'll also have people who have registered for your events in here, and it automatically will label them for which event that they signed up for. So this is really handy and powerful. And you can also import contacts if you have an external email list. So that's really great too. And so I'm going to go back to the dashboard. Last thing I'll show you before we take some more time for questions is the email marketing. So over here, there's quick links. You can click to send a shout out. There's also automated emails in your contacts. Alternatively, you can go over here to promote. And so this is where you'll find SEO, email marketing, and automated emails. So for email marketing, it'll open up a drag and drop editor just like Wix, and where you can visually design your email template. You can add different elements to it, change the design to some pre-made ones, and then even customize your colors, your background. You can even have a fun print if you want, however you want it to look. So it's really easy to quickly get a great looking email newsletter. You also, just going back here, you have a ton of different templates that you can choose from as well. It's really helpful for if you have, something special that you want to promote. There are specific ones to promote events too that can all tie together. And then you can, follow, see analytics, how many people have opened your emails and things like that here. And then, like I mentioned, those automated emails, you can manage them here. And then the last thing before I take questions, I know we're running out of time, and it's just getting found on Google. So we have an SEO Wiz that'll walk you through step by step how to find keywords for your site. You can just put in your business name, click next. If you have a location, you could put that in as well. And then you can put in keywords. And we have a lot of helpful tools for how to choose keywords. And those are things that people might type into Google when they're trying to find your site. So I'm just going to put library in for now. You can have Wix analyze your keywords, or you can just click to create an SEO plan. And what this does is it'll give you a step-by-step checklist for searching, for making your site get found by search engines. So definitely you want to do this as the last step when you've published your site. You'll want to make sure that all of these checklist items are completed. So for example, site's mobile ready, that's already done, but you haven't yet changed the homepage SEO description. And if you have no idea what that means, that's fine, just click on it and it'll explain it. And then the last thing you'll want to do is click connect to Google, and in one click that'll say to Google, hey, the site is ready to be listed, and Google will rank it for you, and then when people search for your keywords, hopefully over time it'll become on the first page of Google. So that's really very high level about the SEO Wizard. And now I'm going to go back and I'll start taking some of these questions.
Okay, yeah, it looks like we've got a question from Sherry in the chat box.
Okay, great.
She's got a question about forms. How do I add fields to the form? Can forms for, say, interlibrary loan go to one email address, kids event, RSV to another, so maybe two separate emails?
Okay, so if you're asking about specific event RSVPs, I don't think it can go to more than one place when you're managing your events. There's a ton of different settings in here. If you click on your events, you can choose like some features about where you want things to go. Like if you want email alerts, to be notified to you. I don't think that these can go to more than one account. I think it'll just go to the default account. But in the settings here, and I forgot to mention this is also on your dashboard. You can edit all of your business information and put in your email address here. And you can also add different roles and permissions. So I would think that if you added more than one contributor over here, it's more than one person who could access your site, that would be a way for an event RSVP to go to more than one person.
Okay.
So you can have different people managing your site, and you can also have different people accessing, those RSVPs within their Wix account or by email.
Okay.
And then another thing just for customizing form fields. So in the add menu, there are contact forms under contact. But there's also a new app for contact forms. You can use either the 123 form builder, it's a popular one, and with those you can really have ultimate flexibility and have whatever fields that you want.
So yeah, Sherry's also asking, can specific people get specific forms, but not all? So again, that means maybe like we've got 3 different people managing different types of events and forms. Am I getting that right, Sherry?
Yes.
No, I'm not. Sorry.
Well, so for each form, for each contact form, just like I showed with the subscribe option, so you can change the settings here to where the notifications should be sent. And if you have more than one of these subscription forms, or it works the same way with contact forms. So if you had more than one contact form on your site, you can also set where those notifications would be sent as well. And if you choose to use a more customizable form like the 123 contact form, or there are other more advanced contact forms with Wix, over here, Wix Forms, you can choose where you would want those to be sent. And each form, I believe, would be custom.
Okay. Does that help, Sherry? Okay, great. Any other questions? Go ahead and put them in the chat box. We've got about 6 minutes left. And I did put my email and also Stacey's email up there. And if you have questions, if you didn't think of today, when I send the follow-up, I'll send them on. Either way.
Yep, I know I went through pretty fast, so if anything is confusing, just let me know. And I'm happy to go deeper and help with some things.
Okay, another question from Deanna. Is there a limit of pages you can add?
Nope, you can add as many as you want. It can get a little hard to manage, if you have a ton of pages, so just make sure that you nest them to create drop downs and things like that. You can also just hide pages from this navigation bar. Let's say if you wanted to have a sub page, like on our library, if you had 10 pages connected to that, but you didn't want them to be on a drop down or on your navigation bar, you can just hide them like this, just on that 3 dots. So it makes it pretty easy to manage a lot of pages. And another thing I'll just mention really quickly is in Wix code, if you want to get into some more advanced features, you can actually create dynamic pages. So you would design one template, then fill in a spreadsheet that would link to like the template options, and then you could have hundreds of pages without having to manually design each of them. So if you're a more advanced user, that's something that you might want to look into.
Okay, 2 questions. Hold on just a second. One person, Kelly, I believe, asked, do you offer live tech support?
Yes. So in this help option in the menu, there's a whole help center, step-by-step videos, lots of options. We have really robust help options online. We also do have Wix support. If you email like support@wix.com or through the editor help center, there are phone numbers that you can call. We have help centers in a few different locations. You have Miami and San Francisco, and I believe some in Europe as well. So there should be some that fit your time zone. Well, I guess you're based in the U.S., so but yeah, so that's definitely available.
Would that be just for the pages for people that subscribe, or do the free pages also get that option?
Free as well. If you subscribe, there's also a VIP level.
Do you have tech support for the free pages?
Yeah, you have tech support for free pages. All of that is available. But there's also a VIP level plan that has enhanced tech support if you need that too. So when you're upgrading, if that's hand holding is really important, you can do that. Okay,
and got probably one more question here from Sherry. She asks, let me get to it. How well does social media, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest feed into the page? This would replace a blog page, so we're not recreating content.
Yeah, so you'll want to go on the App Market, and there are apps for all of those that will display content from those social media pages right on your site. So for example, the Instagram feed, I'll just select it, add it to the site. It'll take a second to load here. But yeah, so it'll pull your Instagram posts in directly. And there are different apps for Facebook and everything else. And if you're not sure, you can just type in and search. There's probably an integration. And another thing to note, if there's not, you can actually add an HTML element in the add section under more. And you can add an iframe of any other website as well. So if you wanted to display content on your site that way. But I recommend going with the App Market to sync up your social media that way.
Okay, I think we're probably going to wrap it up now. So I'm going to say again, thank you so much to everyone that's here today, and also very much to Stacey for doing these 2 webinars for us. We will be stopping